Hello everyone, Bill Coyle here with more travel agent tips. Today we're honored to have Marie Smith, the head of our group department here at KHM Travel and a big member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee with KHM Travel. Marie, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Bill, for having me.
So today we're going to cover how travel agents can provide accessible and inclusive travel for their clients, right? Big topic. We want to say that there's several reasons why agents should embrace this. Because it allows them to provide better service to their client, and it could apply to them or their family while they're traveling as well. Everyone deserves to be able to travel, and I think that that's the message we're trying to convey. And what does that look like from our perspective, from an agent's perspective, to make sure that their customers can travel easily and simply as well. You're passionate about this subject. What are some of your feelings about it, and what are your thoughts on it?
Absolutely, because with group travel or multi-generational travel, you have family members of all ranges and sizes. And sometimes when people plan their travel, they do it for the people they know can travel, but they don't know that others can. And we don't know if we're missing a family member on a family vacation because we don't think they can travel because we didn't ask the question.
I love that. And there's a lot of things we'll get into when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
When we talk about accessible travel, that can mean a number of things. What types of travelers are we looking to attract here?
There are so many different types of accessibility needs that are out there. We have mobility impairments, the physical disabilities, chronic health conditions, diabetes is one, especially long air flights. We were talking about that earlier. Visual disabilities, mental illness, the deaf community, neurodiverse community, which is your autism, your ADHD, epilepsy, MS. And also we have our dietary needs, whether they are vegan, vegetarian, celiac, which is different from gluten intolerant, as well as body diversity, because we need to know if we need special accommodations to make them comfortable as they travel. So there's a lot of things that we have to think about because we are a very diverse community.
This is a huge list. I mean,
Yes.
It's absolutely amazing when we think about it. We have to start thinking about it. We have to start attracting this into our business, incorporating it into our business, and understanding exactly what they're going through. One of the things that we might lack in is terminology, right? It's constantly changing. So you as agents might know some things that are out there, or individuals who can help the travel agent community. Don't be afraid to post your comments about anything that you know that we might not have right, because it's critical that we learn that from you. So touching back on why travel agents should be interested in accessible travel, people with disabilities are the largest minority in the United States. That means this is a huge potential of underserved people, right? So how do we get to that point? What can we do, Marie, to get a better feel for those clients who want to travel?
Basically, we need to qualify them. We definitely want to know what challenges they're facing and how do we overcome those challenges. What concerns do they have? Have they had a previous travel experience that went bad or went good?
Yes.
So that's really important to know. And we want to eliminate our nervousness. So if we can do some of our own research, if this is something that we're going to dive into, we need to look at what type of education we need for ourselves to better serve our clients as well.
So Marie, let's talk a little bit more about the multi-generational factor as well.
Absolutely. Again, when you're traveling with multiple generations, you have the older and the younger. So what do you have? You have maybe granddad can't get around as he used to. Maybe they are on oxygen. Maybe sleeping arrangements. They sleep in a chair. They don't sleep in a conventional bed. Can I cruise? Yes, you can. So, getting to know how that can happen. Those are things that we need to have. And even now too, service animals. So we have service animals that can predict seizures. We have service animals that can predict gluten in food. So are there any accommodations that we need to make for that? Because those are some things that we don't think of every day or in even our qualifying process.
You just made me think of something. Now that I'm a CPAP person, I have to admit that to everyone. Power outlets for my CPAP.
Yes.
Where do they go? Like how am I going to get that all the way across the room? Do I need to bring a power cord? Do they allow power cords? There's just so many things to think about, and I think that once we have these relationships, discussions with our customers, it develops a relationship, right?
Absolutely.
It endears them to us and helps us know, helps them understand that we know them a little bit better.
Being able to anticipate the needs of our traveler is key because, again, we don't want to leave someone behind when we know that we can accommodate them in destination, on the cruise ship, during travel. So we just need to be able to, walk a mile in our clients' shoes to know what their needs are, anticipate those needs, and offer those needs.
A lot of good things, and we, there's the different experiences. There's invisible disabilities that I know you want to talk about.
Absolutely. So, sometimes you may think, or even sometimes they're visible, but they might not be as, what you need to know about the illness itself. So MS, we know that they have issues with muscular, but they also have temperature issues as well, keeping their body regulated. If we take our training, special needs group has a ton of training for you and gives you a more eye-opening experience to what type of travelers are out there and what they provide so they can get out there and see the world. Do take part of that.
I sincerely hope that you're learning a lot today. I think that this is critical information. I think that we need to understand as agents in our industry, we have to partner with someone who knows these things and who understands them. So this is a good lead into helping them understand that and getting them to the right place.
And it's just asking that qualifying question. Are there any special accommodations that you require for travel?
Yes. And some of the other things that agents can be doing is working with each other in a network, right? I feel like KHM Travel, we have a great network of agents. Maybe you have someone different. Go to them, start to learn from them, figure out what their experiences are, grab those expertises from them, share your expertises and experiences as well. I think it's very important. We spoke with one of our own travel agents, Brian Miller. We are very excited to have him, who's also a part of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And he's a strong advocate for accessible travel, and he is going to share some of his experiences right now. So please enjoy this message from Brian Miller.
Hi, I'm Brian Miller, the travel tutor. I specialize in cruises and accessible travel. I've got a personal interest in accessible travel. I usually use a cane to get around, and I have a mobility scooter that I use when I travel. I've been on about 30 cruises. It's an incredible way to travel for people with all types of accessibility concerns. My wife Judy and I recently sailed on Royal Caribbean's Symphony of the Seas. Royal Caribbean makes it easy for people to sail. They range from special dietary concerns to autism programs to accessible rooms with special accommodations for people with mobility, hearing, and sight issues. Be sure to plan ahead and get your client an accessible stateroom. There's no additional charge for these special accommodations, but they do get booked up quickly. Clients can take their own mobility scooters or wheelchair on board, or you can rent one in advance that will be in the stateroom when the client arrives. Royal Caribbean is the first autism-friendly cruise line and offers a wide range of features and programs for passengers of all ages. If your clients have sight issues, you can arrange with the cruise line to have special large print menus and newsletters on board. And there is braille and tactile signage throughout the ship. For those with hearing issues, arrange for a special portable hearing room kit that will provide visual and tactile alerts for door knocking, the telephone, the alarm clock, and even the smoke detector. And of course, everyone wants to take advantage of the great food while on board a cruise ship. Royal Caribbean does a great job working with your clients no matter what special dietary issues they might have. Just let them know in advance.
Awesome tips from Brian Miller. Thank you so much for sharing that, Brian. We appreciate your love and passion for accessible travel. Marie, how should travel agents adjust their marketing efforts to reflect that they provide accessible travel?
Well, we definitely want to make sure that when we are marketing to a specific community, that we immerse ourselves in that community. When we also look at other disabilities, can we find any marketing material from our suppliers that show people of diverse body types in destination? Do we have accessibility? Do we see those with wheelchairs or utilizing any other types of accessibility needs in destination?
Because there's a lot of stock footage that's out there,
yes.
right? KHM has a lot of resources that are available to them as well.
And those that are visually impaired as well, if you're showing any types of graphics, make sure you have that alt text there as well so they understand what is going on.
So you've got the idea of what they can put onto their website. Maybe posting blogs, sharing blogs, whatever the case is, could help them attract a clientele that they don't have now.
Well, I think if you're going to market that you provide accessible travel, you need to be credentialed in what you're saying. You have to have that certification behind you. This is not a fake it till you make it type deal. You really have to have that. So maybe you're going to become an autism specialist because you know it's near and dear to your heart. So maybe you go out to IBCCES, which is the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Educational Services, that does provide an autism training. It isn't a cost, but this way we know it's standardized, it is accredited, and you have to keep up your CEU, so you're continuing education on that. And you also find there on that site too resorts and facilities that are certified in autism. But you really need to know what you're talking about.
I'm having this look of shock on my face because I felt like I was a specialist when I recommended to a customer that they contact Scooters at Sea or Wheelchairs at Sea, and you take care of all that stuff. And then I thought, no, you're kind of putting it off onto them to take care of it. How are you involved in this? How are you going to help out with it? Because at that time that happened, when I made the initial call to them, they said, well, what's the dimensions? What's the battery? All this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know any of this. So I felt like I better do my homework and understand this a little bit better. So I'm glad that you said that. I think that it could be a good marketing idea for our agents as long as they've gone through that training and understand that training. Marie, what else should travel agents know when planning accessible travel?
If your clients are taking medications, remind them they have to pack that medication in their carry-on. Your carry-on's not going to get lost, so it's very important to have that. Do they have any medications that requires any type of special handling? Do they have insulin? Does it require refrigeration? Is refrigeration available for them either in destination or on the plane or their type of transport? So that's important to keep because it's nothing worse than a medication going bad on you. So those are questions that you do want to add. But share those experiences. Share your photos. Were you at a resort destination, you saw a zero entry pool? Did you see the Smith lift or any other types of lifts to get them into the pool? Yeah. Changing tables, for example. There's always baby changing tables. But are there adult tables? Because there are some older children that need assistance.
So there's so many things that our agents need to understand when it comes to this. It's that part of that qualification process that you spoke about earlier, and we need to understand what that looks like moving forward.
Absolutely. And there's nothing better than personal experience, seeing it, taking part of it.
Amazing.
So what can you provide that you have firsthand experience to being into the destination to understand how your client is going to be able to journey through and have that great experience?
So glad you brought that up. We were with our agents last week on a cruise in the Netherlands, and one of the agents had brought her young daughter, and the daughter was vegan. The cruise line understood vegetarian, but did not understand vegan.
Oh.
So every day was a rebuild of what has to be done here. So these are very, very important things, right?
With dining in particular, there's so many different things. You have the vegetarian, you have the vegan, you have pescatarian, you have gluten intolerance, you have celiac disease. You have, wheat intolerance is different from celiac because they can have gluten, they just can't have wheat. So so many different types of allergies, nut allergies, what is considered a tree nut, not a tree nut. Because I never thought in a million years a coconut was a tree nut, but it is. Also, too, are there Braille menus available for them? We do want to make sure that if we do have anyone with visual impairments, that they're be able to be taken care of as well.
Very good point. And I see that you've got travel insurance in here as well.
We do have travel insurance because pre-existing medical conditions. So this is something that is huge. With most of our insurance companies, we do have a small window that we have to book that travel insurance is.
So doesn't that put the onus on the agent to make sure that qualification process is so critical?
Absolutely.
Because they've got to ask those tough questions.
And we also have to make sure, are you medically cleared to travel at this date? Because you might be medically cleared when travel comes, but if you aren't cleared at the time of reservation, sometimes that can come into play.
I did not know that.
Yes, so when I was undergoing chemo, we wanted to take a vacation afterwards. I could not schedule the travel during my chemo because I was not medically cleared to travel.
So you heard it here on Travel Agent Tips. This is so valuable. This is great information. I know Brian shared some great tips in the last video, and now we have another great video with more information from Brian as well.
People often ask, what are the top tips I would give a travel advisor? Tips when they're trying to determine just how accessible a cruise ship or a resort will be for their client. First tip is have an honest conversation with your client. Find out what obstacles get in their way when they travel. Once you know the issues they face, you'll know how to fix them. Next, do your homework on the supplier's website and then get in touch with them well in advance of the trip. Most cruise lines and many resorts have accessible information desks that you can contact to find out what services they offer and to make sure they know about your client's specific needs. Remember that the Americans with Disabilities Act only applies in America. Some resorts in other parts of the world may not have accessible rooms or even elevators. It's important to make sure you can arrange accessible transfers and find out what accessible shore excursions or trips outside the resort might be available. Make sure you work with a supplier like Special Needs Group to arrange for special equipment on board the ship or at the resort There are many resources available for travel advisors who are interested in providing accessible travel options to their clients. I recommend taking the free course that will train you to be a special needs certified accessible travel advocate. You can find out more about that at specialneedsatsea.com. Accessible Travel Solutions is another supplier that helps with groups, tours, transfers, and FIT travel for clients with special needs. CLIA offers an accessible cruise travel certification program as part of its extensive program. Folks at IATA also offer a course on assisting travelers with special needs. There's an online program called Autism Training and Certification for Travel Professionals that you can take for a fee. Take advantage of these and other resources and start helping this special group of travelers see the world today.
Brian, thank you so much for that. We appreciate your love and passion for everything involved in accessible travel. Thank you again so much, Marie, for joining us. We appreciate all your knowledge and efforts when it comes to accessible travel. We thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure if you saw it, but we have this information on KHM Today, one of our sister shows right here on this channel. So we hope you can go back and watch that if you didn't get a chance to see it. Please comment what travel agent tips you want to see in the future. We just love to partner with you when it comes to this. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you all again for watching. We appreciate you every single time you watch.